measures the performance of our students in any of many different ways. The problems and measuring the progress students make, providing useful feedback. Now, measuring a person's ability, knowledge of performance in a given domain, sphere. Evaluation, in other words, evaluation is a judging. Evaluation involves looking at the learning influences such as syllabus, objectives, materials, methodology, teacher performance, and assessment. Okay, now types of assessments. We have formal and informal assessment. What is informal assessments? Let's see. Informal assessments is a system for observation and collecting data about days performance under normal classroom condition, not under special test condition. For example, discussions or any types of debates, role plays can be an example for this informal assessment. Now, formal assessment, or this one is a test given under condition which ensue the assessment of individual performance given in any given area. They are systematic. For example, our summative assessments or formative assessments can be an example of this formal assessment. Now, let's see types of assessments. We have three most common types of assessments. They are diagnostic, formative, and summative assessments. Before that, let's see self-assessment. Self-assessment, it is an integral part of learning. It helps learners to think about their own progress and problems, then to find ways of changing, adapting, and improving. At the same time, it provides useful information about students' expectations and needs, their problems and worries. How they feel about their own progress is a vital part of learning process. Okay, self-assessment, or in other words, self-reflection, this one is important in our learning process. Now, peer assessment. Peer assessment, it appeals to similar principles, the most obvious of which is cooperative learning. It is simply one arm of plethora of tasks and procedures within the domain of learner-centered and collaborative education. Okay, here we have the benefits of peer assessment. This one is autonomy, increasing motivation, and self-involvement. Now, types of self and peer assessment. The first one is direct assessment. Performance. Students typically monitor him or herself. A journal may serve as a tool for such as self-assessment. Indirect assessment of performance. Self and peer assessment of performance are limited in time and focus to relatively short performance. A lesson over several days, a module, or even a whole term of course. A journal is an example. Next one is metacognitive assessment. Personal goal setting has an advantages of fostering strict motivation and providing learners with that extra special impetus from having set and accomplish one's goal. And the last one here we have socio-affective assessment requires looking to oneself through a psychological lens. Now let's continue. We have this one, traditional and alternative assessments. What's the difference between traditional and alternative assessment? First, let's define what is traditional assessment. The assessment tradition available to us should be valued and utilized for the functions that they provide. One sure standardized exam, timed multiple choice format, and the others can be the samples of this traditional assessment. Now, what is alternative assessment? Alternative assessments imply something new and different that may be exempt from the requirement of responsible test construction. Okay, here alternative assessment, continuous long-term assessment, contextualized communicative task,